In this episode, we will talk about the selection tools. Well, first of all, I'm gonna draw one rectangle and one cube. So I'm gonna go here to these drawing tools, rectangle, I click on the origin, one click, and second click, for example, here. I will do exactly the same now with the first click on the red axis and the second click more or less around here. We don't have to be accurate right now. So next step is going to the transformation panel, click push and pull, then go to this surface, one click and release, move your mouse up and just click again when the height of your cube is okay for you. Here we are. So we have here now these two guys. The first one is in 2D and the second one is in 3D. They will allow us to check how we are gonna select things in SketchUp depending on if our entity is 2D entity or 3D entity. So first thing that we have to do is going to this first button called select and click on here. Then you will see this black arrow on the mouse, which is gonna be our main selection tool. Take in mind that the shortcut for this important selection tool is the space bar. If I go again, for example, to push pull and I want to go to this selection tool using the shortcut, then space bar and here we are. So let's start with this rectangle in 2D dimensions. First thing that we can see is that this surface, this gray surface, is made in dots. This is because it is already selected. If I want to unselect this surface, I have just to click outside. Then we have now this clean surface, which actually is in this gray-blue color, right? Maybe we want this surface in a white color. Then I just click on it. It is already selected, right button. Here we can find this option, reverse faces, one click, and here we are. We'll talk about why we have these two colors in all the different faces. It is not the correct moment right now. So let's focus on the selection tools. First thing that we have to have in mind is that SketchUp is all about surfaces and edges. We have here a surface and we have edges. If I want to select any of them, just one click on the correct spot and that entity will be selected. If I want to add more entities to my selection, then I have to click and hold Shift and again click. I can release, scroll out, scroll in, click and hold Shift again and add more entities to my selection. For example, these 4 edges around this surface. I can select as well the surface, and once it is already selected, if I click and hold Shift and I click again on this surface, it will be unselected. So this is one way for selecting different entities. Furthermore, we can use the box selection. This box selection works like that. If I start the box from the left to the right, one click and then I move my mouse, for example, till here, what is gonna happen? As you can see, just this edge has been selected. And the reason is because it was the only entity which was completed inside that box. I click outside for unselect that edge and I will repeat the operation, one box, and you can check right now that the only entity completed here is that edge. So just this one has been selected again. On the contrary, if my selection goes from the right to the left, we can see that this window, this box, is made by a discontinuous line. Then everything inside that box, even when it is not completed, will be selected. I release and here we are. This edge, this another edge, and the surface have been selected this time. The same story when I am working with this 3D cube. If I click and hold and I do this selection box from the left to the right and I release here, just this line was complete and then it is selected. On the contrary, if my box goes from the right to the left, for example till here, these 3 edges were inside that box and have been selected, and the same story with these 2 surfaces. Easy. Eventually, we have a third option for selecting entities. When we are working with a 2D entity, if I click once in the surface, we already know that it has been selected. But if I click twice, then I am selecting the surface plus all the bounding edges. We can go to this option as well. If I click on the surface, then right button, select bounding edges. As you can see here, we have more different options. Let's see how this works with the 3D cube. One click on the surface, then I select the surface. 2 clicks, then I select the surface plus the bounding edges, and we have this third option, 3 clicks on the surface, click, 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 and then I select everything connected. At the end, all the cube, edges and surfaces. 1 click outside from the drawing, and then I unselect everything. As you can see, it is very easy. I recommend you to practice at home, and in the next episode we will learn about the shortcuts, which are very important in order to get a very good workflow in SketchUp.